the history of the interstate highway system. Welcome to Blueprint to Reality, where civil engineering is not just about structures and statistics, it's about the stories that shape our built environment. Today, we dive into one of the most ambitious and transformative infrastructure projects in world history, the Interstate Highway System of the United States. This network didn't just change how people moved, it redefined American society, economy, and even culture. Let's unravel the full story. America before the interstate. Before the mid-20th century, traveling across the United States was a monumental challenge. Most roads were locally built and maintained, unpaved, narrow, and inconsistent. In rural areas, road conditions could become impassable after rain. Long-distance travel meant days, or even weeks, of discomfort and unreliability. The rise of the automobile after 1908, led by Henry Ford's Model T, made it clear that America's road network wasn't ready for the future. In the 1910s and 1920s, there were some improvements with the creation of national highways like U.S. Route 66, but these were still two-lane roads, often meandering and filled with stoplights and intersections. There was no central plan, no safety standards, and no consistent design. Each state did things its own way. Something bigger and more unified was needed. Eisenhower's eye-opening experience. A turning point came in 1919 when a young Army officer named Dwight D. Eisenhower participated in the U.S. Army's first transcontinental motor convoy. The military wanted to test how long it would take to move troops and supplies from coast to coast. The journey took 62 grueling days from Washington, D.C. to San Francisco. Vehicles constantly broke down. Roads vanished into mud. Bridges collapsed under the weight of trucks. The journey was a logistical nightmare, and Eisenhower never forgot it. Years later, during World War II, General Eisenhower witnessed the strategic power of Germany's Autobahn system, efficient, high-speed roadways that allowed rapid military mobilization. When he became president in 1953, these two experiences, one frustrating, one impressive, would merge into a singular vision to build a modern, nationwide road system for both civilian and military use. The birth of the interstate system. That vision became reality with the Federal Aid Highway Act of 1956, signed by President Eisenhower. This act authorized the construction of 41,000 miles of controlled access highways. But it wasn't just about connectivity. It was about national security, moving troops and evacuating cities in the event of war, especially during the Cold War era. The federal government would pay 90% of the cost, while the states covered the remaining 10%. It was a monumental commitment. This was not just road building. It was nation building. Engineers, planners, and contractors were mobilized on a massive scale. The system would eventually grow to over 48,000 miles, becoming the largest highway network in the world. It connected all major cities, ports, military bases, and industrial centers. Every road was designed with standard rules, lane width, shoulder width, curve radius, and signage, so that traveling from one state to another would feel seamless. Engineering innovations and design philosophy. What set the interstate system apart was its engineering brilliance. These were controlled access highways, no traffic lights, no at-grade intersections, and limited entry and exit points. The goal was safety and speed. Interstates were designed to handle high-speed travel with minimal risk. Bridges were built wider and stronger, tunnels were bored through mountains, and complex interchanges allowed traffic to flow in all directions without stopping. The road numbering system was also meticulously planned. Even-numbered highways run east-west. Odd-numbered highways run north-south. Three-digit numbers indicate auxiliary routes, like bypasses or beltways. Route I-95, for instance, runs from Florida to Maine, while I-10 spans the southern border from California to Florida. The suburban boom and economic expansion. With new highways came new lifestyles. Americans no longer needed to live in crowded cities. They could commute from peaceful suburbs. This led to a post-war suburban boom. Shopping malls, gas stations, diners, and motels sprang up along highway exits. Families began taking road trips as part of American culture. Drive-in theaters, Fast food chains and rest stops became iconic parts of the roadside experience. The economy benefited massively. Trucking overtook rail in many areas for freight transport. Agricultural products could reach markets faster. Small towns near interstates grew, while those left off the grid often declined. The interstate system became the arterial network of the American economy, efficient, dependable, and far-reaching. Social displacement and controversy. However, not all impacts were positive. In many cities, highway routes were laid straight through working-class neighborhoods, often those occupied by minority communities. Entire blocks were demolished, and thousands of families were displaced. These decisions were sometimes deliberate, as planners chose paths of least resistance. In cities like Detroit, New Orleans, and the Bronx, the legacy of these decisions still sparks debate today. There were also growing concerns about environmental damage, urban sprawl, and the prioritization of cars over public transit. The system encouraged dependence on automobiles, leading to congestion, air pollution, and declining investment in rail and bus networks. Maintenance, modernization, and the road ahead. By the 1980s, much of the system had been completed, but maintaining such an enormous network proved challenging. Bridges aged. Pavements cracked. Traffic volumes soared far beyond what planners had predicted. Major urban centers began facing serious congestion problems. Today, the focus has shifted to rehabilitation, modernization, and smart infrastructure. Many highways are being rebuilt or expanded. Technology is being integrated: electronic tolling, traffic sensors, and even plans for autonomous vehicle lanes. There's also a renewed focus on multimodal integration, making interstates part of a broader transport ecosystem that includes mass transit, cycling, and pedestrian access in urban areas. Legacy and global influence. The interstate highway system didn't just transform America, it inspired countries around the world. From China's vast expressway networks to Europe's highway planning, the idea of a high-speed, connected nation became a global model. In the U.S., it continues to symbolize freedom, mobility, and economic opportunity. It connects families, businesses, military bases, and communities large and small. Yet, as we look toward a future shaped by climate change, new technologies, and urban challenges, the system must evolve once again. How we reimagine the interstates, making them greener, smarter, and more equitable, will define their next chapter. Thanks for joining us on this journey through history. If you're fascinated by the infrastructure that keeps the world moving, don't forget to follow Blueprint to Reality, where we bring the past, present, and future of civil engineering to life.